Once more again, good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is our pleasure receiving you for the very first edition of Viewpoint of this week, a new week where we are back again with home, with enthusiasm, with all of the energy to give to you information, education, and of course, reignite your memories to think about the things happening in and out of Cameroon. Today, we are going to be talking or touching aspects concerning the Cameroon Parliament. We are going to be talking about the government's fight of the coronavirus and many more other issues. And with us here in the studio, we are having Mange Venashus. He is not new. He is always there for you. And we are having as guest, is not a new face either, Mr. Jack Marcel. He is a teacher from the Loris Bilingual School, Nyala Kambo 2. I'll begin with you, sir. Good evening, and thank you very much for being part of us on this very first edition this week.
Thank you, Vanessa. Good evening. Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here once more. Good evening, televiewers. I hope we have much to discuss with you.
Obviously, we have much to discuss. Mange Venashus, welcome back.
Thank you, Vanessa, and good evening to our viewers in the house.
All right, so maybe you could just brief us. How was the climate in Bamenda?
Bamenda is as chilly as it used to be, and you know, once you go back home, you just feel that at least you're missing something when you're that you're out of home.
So, you're out of home.
Yes, sir.
All right, let us take a transition, and we will be taking the first part of the show. Our first question for tonight goes thus: is the parliament a necessity for a democratic management in Cameroon? I'll begin with you, Mr. Jack Marcel. Yes or no?
Yes, of course.
Yes, it is. Mange Venashus?
For the Cameroon case, no.
No. Question 2. Is the government management of the fight against COVID-19 progressing? I'll begin with you, Mr. Jack Marcel. Is the fight progressing?
Yes, it's progressing.
Yes, it is. Mange Venashus?
No, Vanessa.
No, it is not. And our last question for tonight: will voting for the post of vice president bring an amendment in the administrative landscape of Cameroon? Mange Venashus?
No.
No. And to you, Mr. Jack?
No too.
No too as well. Let us come back in a few seconds for the debate. Welcome back once more. In our first question, we were asking if the parliament is the parliament a necessity for a democratic management in Cameroon. And Mr. Jack, you think that we need a parliament for actually a democratic management in Cameroon to function well? Contrary to what Mange Venashus is saying, what makes you think so that it is a necessity?
Yes, actually the parliament is a necessity for democratic management, as you say. We have been watching parliamentary debates and bills. I don't think there's any bill that has been promulgated without it passing through the parliament. In the parliament, normally the parliamentarians used to vote for the bills. Yes. What of democracy? What do we mean? We mean the wish of the majority. Any bill that passes through the parliament and it is adopted means that it is democratic. Might be the majority are voting for what might be the electorate, that is the people who voted the parliament, don't want. But at least if something has been put into vote or as a bill and it is voted by the parliament, means it is democratic. I would have rather think or reshape the question: is a parliament a necessity for a better management? Not a democratic management, a better management of Cameroon. There I would say no. Yes, but democratic management, yes. Because the president always proposes his own bill, he goes there, they debate and they adopt it, even if it is a member of parliament. But unfortunately, our parliamentarians go there, they work on the basis of party discipline.
Exactly what I was supposed to ask you.
Yes, party discipline. Once any bill comes from a party that I'm from there, whether I like it or not, I have the obligation to vote for it because it is coming from my party. Not even knowing whether or don't even bother to see what the bill, how it will help the the local, the people of the country, yes, the population. But for the fact that the bill is coming from my own party, I just have to vote. At times I even go there, I'm sleeping. Once I hear people clapping. When I turn, I look at my neighbor who's from the same party with me. I just clap. I don't even know what was happening. So the people there, they work on party discipline. Now, coming to what I was trying to propose. Yes, is the parliament a necessity for a necessity? Yes, for a better management of Cameroon. I would say no, because our parliament is just there. I don't really think they do what a parliament is supposed to do. I have seen in cases like in Nigeria where a parliamentarian will stand up and vote against a bill that has come from his own party or from a president and say this thing it will not work. We are from the same, he is from the same party like the president, but he vote against because he wants something that will help the country, the country and the population. Here, the parliament, once it comes from the presidency or from the CPDM party, since the CPDM is a majority there, the bill must pass. And once it comes from the opposition party, it will not go.
It might likely not be adopted.
Most of the time, it will not be adopted, not likely not be adopted. Then, at times, you will see after some years, they will take the bill that came from the opposition party, reshape it now. If they want to discover that the thing was good, they will reshape it. As what I'm talking of the ruling party. They will reshape it and bring it back to the parliament. Now it will be voted and they'll say the president, they will start hailing the president. He has done this, he has done that. That's something that was proposed some years back and it was rejected. So if we are talking of a better management, I say the parliament is not necessary. But for democratic management, the parliament is there because they are doing their democratic job as
parliamentarians.
Yes, as parliamentarians.
Thank you very much for your point of view. Mange Venashus, you rather think that the parliament is not a necessity for a democratic management of Cameroon, given the analogy of what Mr. Njek just brought out, that if he were for the management, he would say they are not democratic, but since we are talking of democratic management, they are.
Yes, Vanessa, I think it is a play of words that Mr. Njek is using, and maybe gets me, rolling me over with those words, talking of management, and we're talking of democracy. And I think that in most countries, when we talk of democracy, it is democracy in the management of that country, democracy in the running of that country. So when they talk of the necessity for a democratic management in Cameroon, now democratic management and better management, I think a country that is democratically managed is better. I think the managers of that country, they manage that country well. Therefore, it is democratically managed. We take the case, we'll come back to the problem of the issue of Cameroon with the parliament being a necessity for a democratic management or not. And I said it is not. Vanessa, when you go by the constitution of Cameroon, you realize that the constitution in Article 2 clearly indicates that the sovereignty of the state of Cameroon is managed or is ensured by the executive arm and the parliament, which means the parliament in Cameroon has as equal rights as the president of the republic. Now, that we are already in the 10th legislature in Cameroon since independence. But we have a set of men and women, like he said, who go into the parliament for all these 10, sets of parliamentarians that we have had. And we don't know whether the 10th legislature will break that spell in history. All bills come from the executive. So the parliament is just like they endorse what comes in from the executive. They don't propose. No law ever comes from there's not a private bill in Cameroon. It exists in text, but it has never. I don't know whether it is parliamentarians are afraid to propose a bill, or simply put, they don't even know what is. When we talk of a bill, they don't even know what is a bill. Or is it that the mechanism in place has been tailored in such a way that no private bill comes from the other political parties? Because when you listen, the parliament is in session now. We are just talking of 5 bills that came in. From where? From the presidency. So it is the presidency that rolls The bills just come, and down history, I'm still struggling. When I got this question, I was struggling to find out, to see if I can get the bill that came into the parliament and was rejected. I am still studying. I hope I will fall into one. Because all bills that come in, they go through. They brought another window dresser called the Senate, put it in place. And once it passes from the parliament to the Senate, it goes back to the presidency. Just simply, it goes to there for them to sign. They just simply sign. And the president, they don't modify it. They should bring a bill, and then the parliament should say, no, Mr. President, this Cameroon is not going into this agreement. No, Mr. President, you should do this. That is the parliament. We are talking about democratic management of Cameroon. How democratic is the running of Cameroon? If we are talking about democratic management of Cameroon, it is the role of the majority, because we assume that our members of parliament were democratically elected by Cameroonians. So they are people's representatives. And when they go there, they don't represent the people. You will not tell me that Paul Biya knows what is the need in my constituency. He doesn't. It is my parliamentarian from the Jakiri constituency who is supposed to go to the parliament and says, these people need water. And he goes there with the notion that these people need water. Paul Biya is thinking of of another project, maybe in the far north. These people may go for the next 5 years without having the water. So I think when we talk of democratic management in Cameroon, and we talk about the parliament, the species of what we have in Cameroon, I say it is not necessary. Because whether it goes, whether it does not go, they are just there. And Mr. Njek says, you just find them clapping. Because all bills that come in, I need that they should say that Cameroon Parliament rejected a bill, sent it back to the presidency. Is it that the presidency, are they human beings with some kind of extra terrestrial knowledge that people don't have? Can they not make an error? But all bills that come in there, they just validate. And
Mr. Njek just highlighted the fact that the parliament is even made up of the majority concerning a particular party. Does that have any influence in decision making?
In the Cameroon setup of parliament, that has no influence, because once you go there, you reason according to the party line, like he said. You don't reason there according to what your people need. If you are from a locality that does not support CPDM, it's a problem. If you are from a locality that supports CPDM, maybe you have the luck. Because once they go in there and they say this came in, CPDM already has a sweeping majority. All of them
so
vote. Just
majority
vote.
has validated.
They will just vote. No matter. We have had cases here where the opposition party walks out of the parliament and the bills go through without any problem. So where is the? They don't even have a position.
Yes, but he can't. He's like indirectly affirming to what I said. If you are, he hails from Jakiri, yes, you send your parliamentarian into the parliament. He is the one to tell the parliament or to tell the country what the Jakiri people want. But if he goes and then decided to tell Baby, because when a bill comes and he vote for it, therefore he is saying that that's what the people from Jakiri wants. There is a person you send there to represent you, right? Then if he is voting for a bill, therefore that is what he wants. Then what we should do is we should rather hold our parliamentarians, our representatives, responsible for our predicament, for as I would say. Because if you go there, I said the CPDM has a majority. You've talked of SDF walking out of parliament so many times. But they don't. They are of minute or the minute quantity. There are very few. The majority is still there. They still have the right to move on with the parliament, with the bill, and so on. So rather, we should not talk of democracy in this case. We should talk of better management, because these people who are voting this bill, they go there, we send them to go and represent us. But when they go there, they are representing a single person. Whatever comes from the president is what they want. And the president is always right. Like a book I read, the title of that book just went out of my head. Now I can remember in the years of Ahijo, we had one of our persons from the Northwest. When Mr. Ahijo, the president Ahijo, wanted to maybe appreciate him for his collaboration and ask, what do you want? What can I do for your people? He said, my people are too stubborn. I need a prison. I need a prison.
Okay. That's
But,
Cameroon.
okay, good. You want the president to say, no, I will not give a president, let me give a tar road or a better hospital.
No.
That's the person you sent to
What he
represent
asked
you.
for, he was given for.
That's it.
Anyway, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your viewpoint. Hope that our televiewers are trying to get a meaning out of what you people are saying. Mr. Njek, I remain with you with our second question for tonight. Is the government management of the fight against the coronavirus progressing in Cameroon? And you said, yes, it is progressing. So how progressive has it been, or how progressive it is?
Actually, I said it is progressing, yes. Because if we look at the rate of infected cases of persons right now, though it has gone right up to 11,000, close to 12,000 now. But it does not mean that the government, this is not effective. Because when coronavirus came in Cameroon, I remember on the 17th of March, when there was lockdown, we stayed indoors for about close to a month. After then, the lockdown was suspended. People are now carrying out their activities normally. If you compare the number of affected cases now with people freely carrying out their activities with the ones that
during the
period when there was lockdown, we see that even though the cases are increasing, but it's at a decreasing rate. People are going about doing their activities freely,
coming together in gatherings, not respecting social distancing, not wearing face masks, not washing hands.
If not of that, maybe we will have been at least 25,000 or 30,000 by now. And then secondly, even the number of deaths per day has really reduced. You cannot hear that. You hear a day just 2 cases of death, at times 6. So to me, I think they are really trying to do something. And then recently, I saw on TV stations importation of some COVID-19 kits from countries like China and Morocco. So we think the government is really trying to really fight against this disease. But notwithstanding, anyway, I can think, though they are trying to fight, but some of our hospitals are really mismanaging the situation, especially the illnesses. I have a case that I can say I witnessed it somehow personally, indirectly. I have a friend whose father was in a certain hospital here in Douala, one of our renowned hospitals. He was there for about 3 weeks. He was not diagnosed of coronavirus for 3 weeks. But a few hours to his death, the doctor signed something, coronavirus suspect. Then when he died,
he was buried.
After 40 the same case that I saw again in one hospital in Yaoundé. So our people, I don't know why they have an interest of declaring somebody's coronavirus positive when he dies. I don't know. Oh, it's just because that one makes me, I think to me personally, from what I'm seeing, it seems as if they have a personal interest behind it, where for every case of coronavirus declared.
Anyway, the point is that the government is doing the best
it
can for the progressive management of coronavirus.
And second, and lastly, if I may come in again, right. Yes, the minister have signed and reiterated that any hospital that will be caught charging bills bills for coronavirus treatment will be seriously sanctioned. Unlike before, where any hospital will just decide on what amount to levy and so on, manage it in its own way. So I can think maybe the government, they are trying to do their best. They are trying to eradicate it, even though coronavirus to me has come to stay. It will just be like any other illness, malaria, HIV and so on. It will not just go that way.
Mange Venashus, you think that the government management of the fight against coronavirus is not progressing? Contrary to what Mr. Njek is saying, that though the cases keep on rising, it shows that as compared to when we're not on total lockdown, it is lesser to an extent. But you think that the government is not actually doing a lot in the fight of the coronavirus pandemic?
Government is doing her best, but that best is not best enough. Because the result of that best is the 11,000 that we already have. The result of that best is the continual, increase in the number of contamination, continue increase the number of deaths that we are having. When this crisis started, people started closing up. Cameroon recorded the first case that came in from France. That first case contaminated the second case. The third case came from France. There is another flight that came in with more than 112 passengers on board. And that 112 passengers, more than half were coronavirus positive. The blame we are giving the government here is, in as much as we closed churches and schools, every other places should have been closed when the first case was diagnosed. No wait for until 5. Now, when they have closed, the economy was shut down, borders were closed, just practically after 1 month, bars were opened. The meaning, the impression we gave Cameroonian was coronavirus is not there.
Or maybe we have been able to contain the virus.
It's not serious. That is why they fear that, you know, when lockdown started on the 18th of March, everybody was afraid. You know, it was just like the world is coming to an end. But when bars were open, people said, okay, this thing was not that serious. Because if it were serious, government would not open bars. And the first drop that we had was people neglected the wearing of face mask. Countries that have succeeded in scaling down this pandemic, I take the example of China that started with this thing. Till today, the wearing of mask is still a kind of compulsory thing in China. You still see people in China wearing masks with their rate of contamination dropping. But ours is skyrocketing, and our rate of wearing face mask is not there. Hand washing. How many of us wash our hands as they keep singing the song?
Mange, we know that mass testing is already being carried out in these epicenters where they have been sidelined to handle COVID-19 victims. Don't you think that government has done already a lot in the progress?
Government is doing a lot, and that lot is not best enough as of now. Is there mass testing in Bamenda? The Northwest region is the highest heat region in Cameroon. Is there mass testing going on there?
It is a gradual process.
So the gradual process should not be when it comes to something as serious as this. Stop it from Yaoundé, because Yaoundé is not the highest heat. Take it to Bamenda and start from Bamenda, because Bamenda was already an epicenter. Not Yaoundé, not Douala. Cameroon does not suffice in Yaoundé and Douala. Cameroon is more than Douala and Yaoundé. So if Yaoundé and Douala had the highest number and they're carrying out the mass testing to identify, you know, to handle the spread of the disease, we understand. We will not be handling a situation that is not yet serious, and we leave a serious situation and it's progressing. They are not serious in that context. They are not. Because if they were, we would have gone, at least we would have reduced the number that we have.
Contamination.
Yes, and then they are talking of reopening schools. Vanessa, up to today, there are still some countries in Africa, they are not yet clear about reopening schools. Because to them, and their numbers is not even up to what we have. They have not reached the peak of the virus. But we had open school. Today is the 22nd. We had open schools. And as of this 22nd morning, when I read the statistics, as of this 22nd morning, we're already at 11,892 cases. And the cases keep increasing. So we think that the government needs to double the effort. If you see, when this thing started, there was this confusion between let the government hospitals manage it, let's say private hospitals. That's why a health center was closed in Douala. Health center that had ventilators more than the government hospital, it was closed in Douala. Later on, they discovered that no, we were failing here, and they're adapting. The Prime Minister at this over the weekend was insisting that they should transfer patients to isolation centers. We have an isolation center here in Bipanda. It is empty. Are there no COVID-19 patients in Douala? What is the center in Bipanda doing? Should the Prime Minister keep reminding or running behind people to know that this thing is serious? The Prime Minister has an evaluative meeting every week with the National Steering Committee for the management of government's plan. Every day you find him adapting measures. So that is just to prove that what is on course is not yielding the fruits that we expected.
Anyway, let those concerned be able to respect the rules given by the Prime Minister in order for us to contain this virus. Mr. Ncheko, will voting for the post of Vice President bring an amendment in the administrative landscape of Cameroon? And do you think that it's not going to bring any change or any new thing in our administrative landscape, given that the 10th legislative session is going on, and some people have proposed that the post of the Vice President should be implemented? You don't think that it's going to change anything?
Yes, Vanessa, I said the post of a vice president in Cameroon will not change anything. With reason being that even if this one, I even fear of it if it is created, because this one will keep to be like a permanent, how do I put it, I'm missing my word, a hold up of the Anglophones in this country, because they are going to maintain them to be the second class citizen. If the post of a vice president is created in this country, it is created for the Anglophone. Therefore, means that the Anglophone will forever be second class citizens, be always be seconding the Francophones. Rather, I think, to an extent, if this post is created and they want it to be serious, they have to talk of alternation. Therefore, meaning that what? If then you have to be implemented in the constitution. If there is a post of vice president, if the president is from the Francophone side, the vice president
French majority.
From the French majority, the vice can come from the Anglophone
minority.
After a mandate of maybe 7 years, since we have a 7-year mandate, let the next president must, it should be underlined must, be got from the other side. If not, nothing will change. But I fear so much that if this post is created, it will be a constant hold up of the Anglophones to be the second class citizens that they are fighting. Because I can see even the Anglophone crisis that we are having today, part of these things were mentioned. If that was anything, would the Prime Minister enough suffice to do such things? What would be the portfolio of the Vice President? Because the Prime Minister will just be there like the Prime Minister of today. He's just there by title. He has nothing. I can tell you there are some ministers today who are powerful more than the Prime Minister. You saw last time when Prime Minister Yang was still there, the Minister of Territorial Administration will go and contradict him over television, radio and so on. That shows that he is more powerful than the Prime Minister himself. The Prime Minister is there, and then something that I don't even know. Most of our ministers, even the Prime Minister, you cannot think of a personal initiative and decide like an administrator. You will always wait to come and say that from high instruction from the presidency. Therefore, even the Vice President will come to and be waiting for the high instruction of the presidency. Rather, if they want that Cameroon should be better administered, we can go. We know that this country has about 2 major people, the French speaking and the English speaking. We have the problem of alternation that at times when somebody talk of it, it becomes as if you are an outcast, you are not supposed to mention such things. Yes, we should go into and insert in our constitution, if, as from now, if the president is from the French speaking region, the next mandate the president should come from the English speaking region, so that we should at least each and everyone should feel free and also feel at home. Know that once you are in Cameroon, even if you go into most of our public corporations or company, the director must be a Francophone. You can see the assistant, you can see the Anglophone come as a 3rd vice director. Even at the parliament, the senate, right up to the...
Your point has so true, meaning that the post of vice president might just be there for a name, but in deep or in function, he has no role. Mange Venantius, you are thinking a little bit in the same direction, that the post of the vice president is not a necessity in the administrative landscape of Cameroon.
Exactly, Vanessa. At the time when we are complaining of so many posts with little work being seen done, we think that the post of a vice president is not a necessity actually in Cameroon, because the constitution of Cameroon, our problem in Cameroon is not actually definition of function. Yes, the constitution of Cameroon is well structured, and the problem is just respecting that constitution. We will have no problem. The constitution gives all the allowances that we may need in terms of vacancy, in terms of election, everything. The state hierarchy is there. All we need is respect the constitution as it is. We'll have a good management of the country. The post of a vice president is just another white elephant, if it comes up, that will distract Cameroonians, that will sap the country's budget that would have been used for something. As of now, we don't even see the actual function of the Senate. Cameroon does not merit a bicameral legislature as of now. Then when people start talking of bringing another post again of the vice president, it is just adding another personality who would have practically nothing to do. So we think that the way the country is structured, if the constitution is respected and each person carries his task, just his task,
the way
Cameroon,
he has been assigned or she has been assigned,
Cameroon will be one of the best countries In Africa, why not the world, Vanessa?
In Africa, why not the world? All right. Thank you very much, Mange Vinicius, for coming.
The pleasure is mine.
Hope to see you tomorrow.
We'll be there.
I'm Mr. Jack Marcel. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure shared.
Wishing you a good night and probably a good night to our televiewers while they continue watching programs on DBS television. Stay tuned. Tomorrow we will be back again, probably with the same faces and of course a new guest to inspire you or educate you on certain topics. Until we meet again, do take care and have a blessed night.